masikio, akapewa na mlio wa milele na milele.
Baba we,
Baba we,
mama we,
mama we, mwambie yule wangu, naye atange vile na milele na milele.
kaka we,
dada we, mwambie yule wangu, naye atange vile na milele na milele.
Majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, kuna ndogo ndogo nyingi.
Majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, kuna ndogo ndogo nyingi.
Majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, kuna ndogo ndogo nyingi. Majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, majengo siendi tena, kuna ndogo ndogo nyingi.
Moyo wangu wanituma vyema, niwe mwanachama wa daima, sitoweza kuliacha rumba, ila moyo kunituma. Moyo wangu wanituma vyema, niwe mwanachama wa daima, sitoweza kuliacha rumba, ila moyo kunituma. Harambe, 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 tulicheze rumba.
Harambe, harambe,
harambe, harambe, harambe, tulicheze rumba. Harambe, Thank you.
Asante, tafadhali tuwapigie makofi. Shukrani za dhati walikuwa ni vijana wa Ninga Melodies ambao wameweza kututumbuiza kwa hali ya haja. Tunawapongeza sana kutokana na utumbuizaji huo. Tunaendelea kuwakaribisha wageni wetu kutoka pembe zote za taifa letu, vile vile na wale pia wameweza kusafiri kutoka mataifa mengine. Karibuni sana, jisikie mko mahali panafaa. Kumbuka wakati wowote shughuli rasmi itaanza ili kuafikia sherehe ambayo imepangiwa siku ya leo. Tutakuwa na wenzetu wengi kwa shughuli tofauti tofauti, kama vile katika mwanzo tutakuwa na mwanadada mwenzangu kutoka NIFC, dada Mbithe Mwema, ambaye atatuongoza kwa minajili ya shughuli ya utangulizi. Kisha baadaye tutakuwa na sherehe rasmi ambako Mheshimiwa Rais atakuwa amejumuika nasi kwa sababu ya shughuli zote. Kwa hivyo wale ambao tafadhali tuko kule nje, iwapo tumemaliza kikombe cha chai, tunaomba tuingie ndani. Kwa sasa nitawakaribisha One Team Band pia waweze kutuonyesha makali yao kwa namna ambavyo pia wameweza kutamba na kutambulika. Karibuni tafadhali One Team Band.
mic check.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for the entertainment today and the lovely band. Thank you so, so much. And also another round of applause for you, our distinguished guests, for making the time today. Let's have another round of applause for you. Thank you so much for your indulgence. Once again, a very warm good morning to you and welcome to the official launch of the Nairobi International Financial Center. My name is Mbithe Mwema. I am the Chief Business Officer at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and I will be your MC for today. Today's event will be launched by His Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta. As we await his arrival with jubilation, we will have a couple of activities lined up for you. We will be getting opening remarks from the Chief Executive Officer of NIFC, that's Mr. Oscar Juguna. I beg your pardon, the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Nairobi International Financial Center Authority, Mr. Oscar Juguna. Thereafter, we will have an exciting and insightful panel that will be discussing sustainability and innovation. This panel will be moderated by Ms. Janice Kotut-Sang, who is a board member of NIFC. In the panel, she will be accompanied by Ms. Sheila Mbijiwe, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Kenya. She'll also be accompanied by Mr. Nick Nesbitt, the Chairman of the Capital Markets Authority, as well as the Chairman of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mr. Kiprono Kitoni. Thereafter, we will receive remarks from Prudential, as well as remarks from Her Excellency Jane Marriott, who is the High Commissioner of United Kingdom in Kenya. At that event, it will be my privilege to hand over to the State Events Organizing team to take us through the presidential part of today. At that point in time, we will then culminate that event with the digital launch of the Nairobi International Financial Center. We will have an award of ceremonies to the initial participants and partners to work with NIFC at this point. We will have an MOU signed, as well as a collaborative agreement signed, and thereafter, we will end the session. We'll ask you to stand seated. There's a lot of protocol being observed. If you are standing outside and enjoying the networking session, I'd kindly request that you come in, take your seats as we start. To start us off, we'll have the acting Chief Executive Officer of the Nairobi International Financial Center, Mr. Oscar Juguna. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Juguna.
Thank you, Mbithe. Good morning, everyone. Nick Nesbitt, Chairman of the Capital Markets Authority, Kiprono Kitoni, Chairman of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Ms. Sheila Mbijiwe, Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, Ambassador Francis Mudhaura, Chairman of Kenya Revenue Authority, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. Thank you for joining us today. And you can see I made some notes so I make sure I don't forget what I'm saying, given that it's been a long time that we've been on this journey. So I have so many things to say, I thought I better write them down. It's my great pleasure to welcome you here today to the opening of the Nairobi International Financial Center. Some of you have traveled here in 10 to 15 minutes on our new expressway, like myself, and a number of you have flown in from various parts of the world. And in all cases, we truly appreciate you joining us here today. Most of you will know that it has been quite a long journey to get here. And I'm sure when I started this journey, I had a lot more hair on my head than I do now. Ladies and gentlemen, my link with this initiative started in 2010, when as a lawyer working in London at the Financial Services Authority, I wrote a letter to the Ministry of Finance in Kenya, setting out my views and ideas about the types of reforms that I thought could be implemented in the financial sector in Kenya, based on my experience in London at the time. And to my surprise, I received a reply inviting me to meet with an officer at the ministry and discuss ways in which I could contribute to some of the thinking. I eventually came and met a number of officials from the ministry, which was very exciting and gave me confidence that I could make a small difference to what I was thinking about and what they were trying to do. But I was still living overseas at the time, and it was only when I finally was convinced to come back to Kenya in 2017 to work here instead of making noise from out there, and I became directly involved in the work of the center. And it has been truly a great privilege to be part of this journey. In my home, we have all been counting down to the launch, but my children have seen it more as a rocket launch than anything else, because they keep asking me, what exactly are you going to launch, Daddy? And I have been struggling to explain to them. So I think what we are trying to launch today is an institutional framework where we try to do certain things differently in an effort to ultimately improve the lives of the millions of Kenyans across the country. I think we're also launching a new way of collaborating in order to support innovation and channel resources into projects and initiatives that have an impact on the country. We still have a lot of work to do, but we now have the fundamental building blocks in place. Our framework is designed to create an impact in three particular ways. The first is designing incentives aligned to the goals that we have set for ourselves. For example, the newly introduced corporate tax of 15% for a firm that operates a carbon exchange in the NIFC. Secondly, through the provision of certain services like work permits, through direct collaboration with stakeholders at the Department of Immigration and others. And finally, our ability to address wider issues affecting the financial sector at the highest level through the NIFC Steering Council that is chaired by His Excellency the President and consists of all the financial sector regulators. This architecture, we feel, sets us apart from other centers and will help us build on the existing base that we have as a nation. Ladies and gentlemen, if we have succeeded in setting up the NIFC, it is because we have continued the work that was started by capable and visionary Kenyans. There's a lot of truth in the quote from a letter written by Sir Isaac Newton, where he said, "If I have seen further than others, it is because I'm standing upon the shoulders of giants." So there's one thing that I wanted to do today, is to appreciate the amazing people that have been part of this journey. The initial vision for the NIFC was part of the Vision 2030, a roadmap developed under the leadership of the late President Mwai Kibaki and shaped by leaders like Ambassador Francis Mudhaura, who is here with us today, Dr. James Mwangi, here today, and Dr. Julius Muya, who is unfortunately not able to be with us today, but those were some of the leaders that really helped to drive the vision that we have today. And at the National Treasury, the initial work was led by Dr. Joseph Kinyua at the time, and others from the team, including Nzoma Mutuku, who is, we tragically lost last week. Nzoma was a good friend and a former schoolmate, and it will be a great loss for all of us in this community. It's difficult to believe that he's not here today to share this moment, because he was really critical. He was the leader of the first, the team that drove the NIFC initially and got the legislation passed through. During our journey, we have worked closely with colleagues at the National Treasury, of course, at the Central Bank, at the Capital Markets Authority, at IRA, at RBA, at Business Registration Service, the Kenya Revenue Authority, Immigration, Trade. The list of government agencies that we have engaged with is very extensive, but throughout we've received immense support. We've also worked closely with international partners, all the way from the United States to Qatar, who understand what we are trying to do and achieve and have put aside real-time energy and resources into helping us. And none more so than the government of the United Kingdom that has been a solid partner for us throughout, led by Ambassador Jane Marriott and the FCDO team, and of course supported over the years by FSD Africa and FSD Kenya, led by Mark Napier and Tamara Cook. To the many leaders and friends across the finance and business sector, as well as the industry associations and EAVCA in particular, thank you for your support. The immensely talented team at Africa Practice that has really supported us to get here, but also London last year, where our work began. To the board of the NIFC Authority that took on this task despite knowing the challenges it would present, but appreciating even more the opportunities that it offers to make a difference. Your constant support has been critical in getting us here. And finally, to the small but capable team at the NIFC Authority, many of whom started this work before I did, led by Jedida, Winnie, Antoinette, Mutiga, Eunice, Joseph, Manza, Jack, Nelson, and Sam. Your hard work has paid off today. So, there are many others that have supported us. Please forgive me if I've omitted to name you. And at this point, I should stop before I start crying. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hand back to Mbithe, our capable MC, and we look forward to the rest of the day. Thank you very much for coming.
I think we can do better for someone who's vulnerable and is willing to cry in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. That was Mr. Oscar Juguna, who is the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Nairobi International Financial Center. Now, we do have a very interesting and insightful panel that will be coming up. This panel will be speaking to the element and context of sustainability and innovation. To moderate this panel, we'll have Ms. Janice Katit-Sang, who is a board member of the Nairobi International Financial Center Authority. I'll ask her to come up as I read her profile. Ms. Janice Katit-Sang is a founding member of Sustainable Links, which aims to mobilize capital towards climate solutions with a gender lens and sits on the investment committee of the Africa Legal Currency Bond Fund. Janice was previously the managing director for PIDG Infra Solutions, which was set up as a GarantCo initiative to be a pathfinder, arranger, and collaborator aimed at mainstreaming local currency finance for infrastructure projects in frontier markets. Lastly, she also brings with her banking experience, having worked with Standard Chartered in Asia, UK, and in Kenya. Janice has an LLB from Warwick University and an LLM from the King's College London and an executive MBA with the Side Business School, Oxford University. Let's put our hands together for our moderator of the day. Next up, we will have Mr. Nick Nesbitt, who is the chairman of the Capital Markets Authority. I'll ask you to kindly join in and sit next to Ms. Janice as I read your profile. Nick Nesbitt, the chairman of the Capital Markets Authority. The Capital Markets Authority has been at the forefront of supporting institutions, especially financial ones, leveraging on the use of technology to set up live-tested ideas in a safe environment in order for them to develop and thrive. Mr. Nesbitt is currently a senior advisor to the Boston Consulting Group, helping the firm support its clients in Kenya. He has a strong background in IT and business leadership, which has served him well as an entrepreneur as well as a mentor in driving growth in companies in the areas of telecommunications, blockchain, logistics, affordable housing, and agriculture. He is very active in promoting foreign direct investment in East Africa by helping leading international companies launch within the region. He also chairs a private sector engagement with the Kenyan government, working for the US-Kenya Free Trade Agreement, and is also an active member of the Young Presidents Organization. Let's put our hands together once again, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Nick Nesbitt, the chairman of the